So my name is Daren Goldin. I'm the owner of Goldin Solar. We're a solar energy contractor, homegrown right out of Miami. And we've been in business for about 3 years doing residential and commercial solar installations.
Nice. Can you give me an example of any of those experiences?
We built a system on Coconut Grove Residence Inn, which is on 3 separate buildings that was somewhere in the range of 90-something kilowatts, and that was quite large. That was only one part of their whole energy renovation. So they put in insulation, they replaced the roof, they put in new air conditioners, and between all of their improvements, they're telling us they're saving about, I believe, somewhere around $8,000 a month.
Wow.
So that's very significant. We also installed a system on Miami Children's Museum, which is one of the coolest systems we've installed because it's kind of like on a wave-like structure, so very complex, very customized. So those are probably some of our more high-profile installations. So we install a tremendous amount of residential, and a typical residential system might be about 10 kilowatts, probably more or less 40 solar panels. That'll probably offset maybe about $160 to $180 off of their power bill. Our customers typically try to eliminate their power bill or reduce it as much as possible. I would say probably, for the most part, our customers usually can reduce them by about 60 to 100%. We do have many customers that are able to bring their power bill down to about $9 a month.
Nice.
So $9 a month is just the basic minimum interconnection fee.
About how long does the entire project take?
So typical installation for a residential system probably takes about 3 to 5 days, the actual construction. But we like to allocate about 2 months to the entire process, and that's because of the amount of time that's involved in engineering and permitting, which engineering takes about a week, permitting can be a little bit out of our hands.
Yeah.
What type of solar panels do you offer to your customers?
So we offer polycrystalline and monocrystalline photovoltaic panels. So we have made ourselves work exclusively in photovoltaics, or PV for short, meaning we only do the type of solar that converts sunlight into electricity, as opposed to the type of panels that heat water, or heat water for swimming pools. We do only PV, and it's made us very expert in PV. So that's the type of work we do.
Nice. How big are the solar panels?
So the panels that we install are 60 cells. So they're 10 cells tall by 6 cells wide, 10 by 6, and they're 65 inches tall by 39 inches wide.
One more time.
This is a 230 watt solar world panel, which is actually relatively low. Nowadays the solar world panels we're bringing in are probably about 285 or 290. This is an older version that we just use to showcase and display. But we have other stuff in the warehouse. Right now we have LG 320 watts panels that we're about to install at the customer's home.
So how much does an individual solar panel cost?
Well, we don't sell individual solar panels. We are a turnkey contractor.
Right.
So basically what we do is engineering, procurement of materials, installation, permitting, we do startup and testing, we do commissioning of the system, and we monitor the power production of the system for the life of the system.
Do you need a special electric grid for that?
So in Florida, currently the law allows our customers to do something called net metering. Net metering means that after we install a solar array on a customer's roof, the local utility, in this case FPL, will replace the customer's power meter with a bidirectional net meter. So it's a power meter that's capable of measuring current not only from the grid going to the building, but also conversely from the building back to the grid. So basically, if we design and install a solar array that's capable of offsetting 100% of the customer's energy needs, you're still going to have a discrepancy in timing between production and consumption. In other words, you're never going to be producing exactly what you're consuming. You might be producing more than you consume at a given moment, or consuming more than you produce. And that's where net metering comes in. So for example, if it's daytime, the kids are at school, the parents are at work, you're overproducing. You're making more energy than you're using because you're barely using any energy.
Right.
Well, that energy gets sent back to the grid and your meter goes backwards. Then at nighttime, everybody's at home, all the TVs are on, the air conditioner's on, you're pulling energy off the grid. You're not making any solar energy because it's nighttime, and so you're pulling off the grid. The meter then spins forwards. So that's called net metering. And basically the way that would work is at the end of the month you'd be liable to your utility for what you took off the grid minus what you put back on.
By average, from the residential houses that you guys, from your customers, what is the approximate cost of the total project?
Typical cost is probably about $20,000 to $30,000. And we know a lot of people get shocked when they hear these numbers. But actually, with all things considered, those costs are not very much. I mean, if you compare it to other states. So we've gone to great lengths to drive our prices down. Basically, any customer that installs solar is going to get 30% of it back from the federal government. That's called the Federal Investment Tax Credit, which was put in place to incentivize people to go solar and make solar more accessible. So really, whatever price any contractor gives you, you can assume that you're getting 30% of that back. The other part of it is that in today's market, there's many different financing programs available. So for the majority of our customers, they finance their installation. They finance their entire system. And we like to set it up in such a way that the only money that you're paying back towards the financing is the money that you're saving on your power bill. So regardless of that sticker price, which is again hard to say because it's really a function of the size of the system going in, but it scales. It's all proportional to the size of the system. So we've designed it to be probably about between 6 and 8 year period for you to return your investment.
What kind of maintenance do the solar panels require?
So typically on roof-mounted systems, they're stationary. They don't move. As opposed to, for example, a solar farm where solar panels will be installed on a single or dual axis tracker where they actually move to track the sun. So, what we like to say is where there's no movement, where there's no motion, maintenance is very minimal, as opposed to your car where you've got to change fluids, you've got to replace brake pads, lubricants and oils. There's none of that involved here, right? There's no moving parts. So really effectively, the only maintenance is just making sure that the solar panel itself is clear for the light to come through and hit the cells.
Right.
Basically, that might mean going up on the roof and washing them down every once in a while, or brushing off leaves if they accumulate. But basically, because of living in South Florida, when it rains very heavily. That maintenance is really, really minimal.
So it's very low maintenance.
Very, very low maintenance. I mean, if we're in Arizona, the panels are a lot more likely to build up sediment and dust on them. But we get heavy rains here that help us with that.
How do you hurricane-proof a solar panel attached to a roof?
So the word hurricane-proof doesn't really, mean anything. Basically, I don't think anybody would ever say that anything's hurricane-proof. Right, because you never know what's coming through. I mean, if you look at pictures of Florida City during Hurricane Andrew, you'd be pretty naive to think that anything could ever be hurricane-proof. But what we do is we build to the standards of the Florida Building Code. In South Florida, in this region, we built to withstand, I believe the code is 175 miles per hour wind speeds. That's basically a Cat 5. That means that probably the entire roof will blow off the building before the solar panels will come off the roof. So the answer to that question is really boils down to structural engineering and to our means and methods of being able to achieve that kind of structural strength. That'll basically be how frequently we put our attachments, the depth of the lag bolts that actually go into the rafters, into the structure of the building, the fact that we put in 2 lag bolts per attachment instead of 1, which is a common practice. So what we've learned is that there are ways to meet code, and basically our systems are really much more structurally involved than probably any other state in the country.
So going back to the photovoltaic solar panels, what is the efficient rate of the PV volts that you offer to your customers? So
when people talk about efficiency in solar, there's really 2 different things that we're talking about. There's really 2 different steps. One step is going from solar power, in other words, the energy of the sun, to direct current, which is the type of current that the solar panels produce. And that efficiency is probably between 15 and 20%. In other words, 15 to 20% of that solar installation, that solar energy, actually gets converted into direct current.
Here in Florida, why are solar panels an attractive form of renewable energy?
Well, we're nicknamed the Sunshine State. That's something that my customers keep bringing up to me. They keep telling me it's crazy. Why don't we have more solar panels? We're the Sunshine State. So, it's really very true. And we have very long days, and we have very bright sun. So, I think that solar as a form of energy for individuals to install on their homes is just a brilliant form of energy.
That's all the questions I have. Thank you so much.
Great, absolutely.